Hello, dear all. So, today in this lecture, we discuss the knowledge of medicines, fifth chapter in the Richard Hughes philosophy. So, let's see what Richard Hughes discusses about the knowledge of medicines. So, we proceed with the definition of a drug. So, what is a drug? It is a substance which alters the state of health. What is a medicine? All of us know that a medicine is a potentized drug, well proved on both the sexes and all the ages, and its objective and subjective symptoms are noted. What is a remedy? Remedy is that medicine which is prescribed under the law, and which law? Of course, the law of similars, which is given to cure. So, Dr. Richard Hughes further tells us about the different ways of acquiring the knowledge of medicines. So, what are the different ways by which we come to know the action of the medicines? And we get that knowledge that what is the action of these medicines? Medicinal substances, rather. So, first is toxicological provings, second is doctrine of signature. So, toxicological provings are given by authors and not by physicians. So, authors are writing in their stories about the toxicological provings. Means what is the action of any drug substance which has taken place on the person and may be homicidal or suicidal. So these stories are narrated by the authors. Second is doctrine of signature. It is an empirical method. So what is empirical method? That is the knowledge acquired by past experience or past experiments. So this is carried further to the next generation. So the knowledge of medicine you come to know by this method of doctrine of signature, but it is an empirical method. The true method of acquiring the knowledge of medicines is nothing but drug proving on healthy human beings. So, Dr. Richard Hughes confirms this and tells us the true method of acquiring the knowledge of medicines is drug proving on healthy human beings. The next method to get the knowledge about the medicine is proving done on lower animals. So, it is an incorrect and ineffective method according to Dr. Richard Hughes. So let's see about the toxicological provings. So what is the usefulness of these toxicological provings? So these toxicological provings, the reference has come in the history through the writings of the authors. So this is described in aphorism number 110, just for your reference. These are either accidental provings or written by non-medico authors, that is history of poisonings or suicides or by homicidal way. So the effects of the poisons are noted down by the authors and they are narrated in the stories. These provings were not conducted by any systematic, intentional, or scientific method. These provings were done by accident or this way of the suicide or homicidal. So it is observed in the history that in the writings of some authors, Such knowledge about the medicines can be acquired, but Dr. Richard Hughes tells us very clearly it is not a systematic way, it is not a scientific way to acquire the knowledge of medicines. So, toxicological provings, the discussion is further done. The materia medica is constructed by the effects of medicines on provers. And who are the provers? Provers should be healthy human beings. Number of symptoms were given by provers and provers gave tremendous quantity of symptoms. Dr. Hahnemann felt the necessity to arrange these symptoms in a systematized form, and this is called as Hahnemannian schema, that is anatomical way of writing the symptoms. So in each and every step Dr. Hahnemann tries to be very systematic and scientific. So the provings of the drugs are done on the provers and how they are noted down in a systematic way. This is called as Hahnemannian schema, and that's anatomical way of the writing of symptoms. So symptoms give us the idea of personality of the patient. These are subjective symptoms, they are general symptoms and help in patient's diagnosis. So the general symptoms of the provers are important. They are subjective sensations and they help in the diagnosis of the patient. So, and then compared with the homeopathic materia medica. So, the patient's symptoms when observed are compared with the symptoms of provers. Which symptoms are most important? The general symptoms, because they indicate the personality of the patient. Symptoms of organs are particular symptoms. Symptoms of disease are common symptoms. These symptoms help in the disease diagnosis or called as nosological diagnosis. That is, we come to understand the name of the disease. The toxicological provings. So, what is the significance of common symptoms? These common symptoms help in the disease diagnosis. They help in the selection of organ remedies. Example, Naja is indicated for heart complaints, Berberis for renal calculi treatment, Chelidonium for the treatment of hepatitis or gallstones, Spongia given in goiter cases, Cinchona bark given to treat malaria. So the significance or the importance of common symptoms is discussed, and they also help in the choice of the remedy. And which are these remedies? These are called as organ remedies. What is the significance of general symptoms? These are individualizing symptoms. These are subjective symptoms. Subjective symptoms means they are the sensations of the patient. That is mental generals and physical generals. So these are the most important symptoms in the patient and also in the provers. So these are not pathological symptoms. They don't indicate any disease. These are not common symptoms. They help in determining the remedy. And what would be that type of remedy? Constitutional remedy. Means it covers the personality of the patient. So general symptoms are the symptoms of patient. Again and again, Dr. Richard Hughes is discussing the general symptoms and their importance. They are the symptoms of patient related to mind and body. They distinguish him from others. So they are the individualizing features and they are very important for the choice of simillimum. This method of drug proving is uncertain. This is unscientific. So, although this toxicological proving is uncertain and it is not a correct method, the importance of symptoms is discussed here. That is the importance and significance of general symptoms and particular symptoms. So, whatever we observe, these symptoms should be categorized into two basically, that is the general symptoms and the common symptoms. So, general symptoms are important for the personality of the patient and they help in the choice of the simillimum, which will cover the personality, that we call it as a constitutional remedy. The doctrine of signature, it is the second method of acquiring the knowledge of medicines. This also called as empirical method. So example, cactus has heart-shaped leaves, hence it is useful in the treatment of heart ailments. Chelidonium has yellow flowers and exudes yellow or orange juice. So chelidonium is useful in the treatment of liver disorders. Euphrasia is called as eye bright, used for eye complaints, called as conjunctivitis. So all of us know this, the use of cactus in the heart complaint, chelidonium in the liver affections and euphrasia in the eye complaints. Now the most important, the drug proving on healthy human beings. So true method of acquiring the knowledge of medicines. It is the most authentic method, most scientific method to know the action of medicines. This disease producing power on healthy human beings is the disease curing power. So Dr. Richard Hughes very clearly tells us the correct method of acquiring the knowledge of medicine is proving of the drug on the healthy human beings. And the disease producing power on the healthy human beings is the disease curing power. Now see the utility of proving on animals. Yes, there is some utility. So Dr. Hahnemann knew the method of drug proving on animals. But this is not effective method because the sensations and symptoms are not available. Animals can't speak. Certain knowledge of effects of drugs on animals we can get. So example, pig can swallow large quantity of nux vomica but men are killed with very small grain of nux vomica. So we can get certain knowledge of effects of drugs on animals. The most important disadvantage is the sensations, means the general symptoms are not available. Effects of poisons or drugs help us to know the pathogenesis of the drug. So it helps us to know the action of the drug on any organ and to what extent it is damaging. So it helps to know the action of drugs. This information was available to us through the crimes or by carelessness or by ignorance. And it is not recorded by the physicians, but they are done by the authors or non-medical persons and not noted each symptom. So all the symptoms are not noted, neither they are verified. So it's unscientific method. So what are the doses in drug proving? Overdosing is the remedial error which is seen in antipathy. So all of us know that they are giving large doses. This causes side effects or collateral effects are seen. So that is called as secondary counteraction. Dr. Hahnemann proved drugs on healthy provers. He noted there were aggravations, sometimes in patients with similar remedies. So he started reducing the doses. In 1824, the theory of drug dynamization began to influence mind of Dr. Hahnemann. So he prepared potencies. They were first called as dilutions to avoid the pathogenetic or toxicological effects of drugs. So when Hahnemann started practicing homeopathy with the similar remedies, he was having the aggravations of symptoms of patient. So what is the answer for this? He thought is to reduce the doses. So he started reducing the doses and he prepared various potencies. First it was just the reducing doses called as dilutions, and then he gave the name as potencies. So why he started doing dilutions? To avoid the pathogenetic or toxicological effects of the drugs. Doses in drug provings. So we know that in the history Albrecht von Haller, this name comes as he knew the method of drug proving on healthy human being. But drugs were not given in potentized form. So drugs were not given in the dilutions, neither in the potentized form. Doses in drug proving. Dr. Hahnemann in his book Fragmenta de Viribus Medicamentorum and René Alzemetelier has included provings of drugs. In René Alzemetelier Volume 1 in 1811, Dr. Hahnemann himself and his family were provers. They were healthy provers. So first provings was started by Dr. Hahnemann on himself and his family. So that was recorded in his book René Alzemetelier Volume 1. In Volume 2 he had proved drugs on his disciples. In this book 37 drugs appears. In the book of chronic diseases there appears 26 more drugs. Provers who lived at distance communicated their results through letters. So Dr. Richard Hughes gives us all these references of Dr. Hahnemann, his working principles and his working method. So let's see the mode of administration. In the history, Dr. Hahnemann has written in the book Fragmenta de Viribus Medicamentorum the symptoms which are noted in this book, which were the results of single full doses of several drugs. So single dose was given and the results were noted. In René Alzemetelier till 1826, provings were done in first centesimal potency. In the sixth volume, in 1827, provings of Ambragrysea, Carboanemalis and Carbovegetabilis in third C potency were conducted and they were noted. Natramur 30 was proved on 3 provers and noted in the fourth volume of first edition of chronic disease in 1830. In fifth edition of Organon in 1833 and second edition of chronic diseases in 1830 and 1839, provings with 30 potency was recorded. So all these references are given by Dr. Richard Hughes about how Hahnemann had conducted the provings. So the original provings of Dr. Hahnemann on the provers and their effects are available in Hahnemann's books. So arsenic alp, which is a poison. So we discussed the infinitesimal doses of homeopathy. What is infinitesimal dose? It is infinitely small dose. So arsenic album, which is a poison, but in 1m and 10m potency there is a extreme dilution does is done, but and it does not destroy its pathogenicity and neither it produces harmful effects. So is the beauty of these dilutions, which Hahnemann later named as potentizations, where the pathogenicity of that drug substance is retained but it becomes harmless. Natramur, which is the common salt, is inert in a crude state. It is physiologically assimilable. Its activity increases after dilutions and potentizations. Potencies produce medicinal effects which are found acting curative, but crude drugs does not produce such effects. So, potencies are producing medicinal effects which are found curative, but crude drugs does not produce such effects. So, large doses produce pathological symptoms, and we repeat this point that potencies produce medicinal effects which are found acting curative, but crude drugs does not produce such curative effects. Dr. Hahnemann gave the results of attenuations, that is the dilutions, and then he named it as potentizations. So in the centesimal and 50 millisimal scale. About drug proving, Dr. Richard Hughes confirms Dr. Hahnemann's advices, his guidelines, and his sharing the knowledge what he has acquired, that provers must be healthy, and in 1884 New Materia Medica was created by British Homeopathic Society and American Institute of Homeopathy. In 1891 T.F. Allen completed Encyclopedia of Drug Pathogenesis. So Dr. Richard Hughes has contributed tremendously by working with Dr. T.F. Allen in completion of Encyclopedia. It contains records of provings and poisonings. We should see patient sensation. So Dr. Richard Hughes insists that we should see patient sensation. So sensation is the subjective symptom of patient and very important symptom which denotes the patient's personality, and it guides in the selection of the simillimum. And the importance of sensation is that it denotes the pathology. So for treating the pathology we must know patient sensation. So all of us also know that what is the importance of sensations, various sensations which are given under the provings of various medicines, that I will not take any particular reference here, but for example stitching pain of bryonia, burning pain of arsenic, so on and so on. So the sensations which are denoting the underlying pathology very important for the selection of the remedy. Mode of presentation of these symptoms which are given by the provers called as Hahnemannian schema. The vast symptoms given by provers were systematically arranged in anatomical way. So such a extensive work done by Dr. Hahnemann, that the recording of these provings was done and written in a very systematic way. The time of occurrence of the symptom was noted, name of the provers were also noted down, and during proving the symptoms of provers, if disappear, is considered as a curative action. We thus have series of individual pictures of morbid conditions induced by our medicines and correlated them with symptoms of patient. So we have series of individual pictures of morbid conditions induced by number of medicines, and then we can correlate them with the symptoms of patient. Thus Materia Medica is very rich with the symptoms of this action of medicine on the provers. Symptoms are observed by the action of medicines on the provers. These symptoms are recorded in the Materia Medica and they are correlated with the symptoms of patient. And that was the discussion about acquiring the knowledge of medicines, which is given in this chapter of Dr. Richard Hughes' philosophy. Thank you.